Let's start with our first news. Josh Hokett has trashed Alex Pereira for his recent comments following a UFC event at the Apex, where Costa faced Arnold Allen and lost by unanimous decision. Allen outscored Costa 156-118 and went 7 for 7 on takedowns. Meanwhile, Pereira was watching and posted an image of a bruised Costa under Allen on IG with caption just saying thanks to my sponsor, Flying High Aviator Scribe. That sparked backlash as Jose Luis reposted the image on X, referencing the earlier exchange between Pereira and Costa. Luis added, quote, "I'm not resentful, man," before further commentary. The situation stems from Costa previously saying Jon Jones would smash Pereira, which triggered a strong response from him. Pereira recalled an old interaction from LFA days where he felt disrespected over a photo request. He questioned Costa's intent and suggested misunderstanding had never been fully resolved. Later, Josh Hokett reacted on X, blasting Alex for using the moment to promote a sponsor. Fans noted the situation may show lingering tension and debate over whether the post was shade or marketing. Some observers argued Pereira's message was aimed more at Costa than any brand promotion, though it still raised questions about timing and intent. The exchange quickly spread across social media, with fighters and fans weighing in on both sides of the argument. Critics said Pereira might be holding on to old grievances, while supporters claimed he was simply responding to repeated disrespect from Costa. The controversy also revived discussion about sportsmanship and how fighters use social platforms to send indirect messages after major events. This incident highlights how quickly online reactions can escalate beyond the cage into wider narratives around rivalries and reputations. Fans continue debating whether this feud will escalate further in coming days ahead, period. Move on to another news. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, we start with Conor McGregor going off on Nate Diaz for performance. Following Nate Diaz's loss to Mike Perry on Saturday, talk grew around whether a trilogy fight with Conor McGregor would ever happen. Heading into the MVP Netflix card, Diaz had repeatedly claimed he wanted the third fight after beating Perry. The bout with Perry came after reports that the UFC was trying to book Diaz versus Conor McGregor 3 for the summer. Perry fight ended when a massive cut opened and the doctor stopped the contest in round 2. On Sunday, Conor McGregor reacted online and blasted Diaz for his performance while also sending a warning. He posted that he understood why Diaz avoided the fight and hinted at a future clash. Diaz later responded claiming he broke his fingers early in the fight, which affected his performance significantly. He also called for a rematch with Mike Perry, and both sides showed interest in running it back. Josh Hokett trashes Alex Pereira for comments following the fallout from the MVP event discussion online. Fans continue debating the situation as reactions spread across social media and fighters weigh in. McGregor's post on X sparked immediate reactions as he mocked Diaz's decision to take the fight with Perry and suggested he was avoiding a high-stakes trilogy bout that fans have been waiting for years. Diaz's side, however, pushed back by highlighting that the fight was stopped due to a severe cut and reported finger injuries that limited his ability to continue at full pace. The situation reignited debate among fans about whether a third Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz fight still makes sense in the current UFC landscape, with both fighters aging and pursuing different paths. Despite the controversy, attention remains fixed on both fighters as discussions continue to circulate across the MMA world about possible future matchups and lingering rivalries. The ongoing conversation also keeps McGregor's name at the center of speculation as fans revisit past fights and potential storylines that could still deliver massive attention in the sport, especially if negotiations ever align for a blockbuster return fight that promoters would heavily push across major platforms and streaming events. Overall, the rivalry continues to fuel headlines and online debate across the MMA community worldwide. Discussion continues. Move on to another news. MMA community goes off on Jon Jones for comments as online reactions exploded over his recent statements about his future. Fans argued that he should either stay and fight in the UFC or walk away from boxing plans instead of switching directions after signing contracts. Many also pointed out that he recently signed a new deal and believe the UFC will not simply allow him to leave without completing obligations. Here's what fans had to say. Some claimed that everyone now wants to follow the Francis Ngannou path, suggesting fighters are inspired by his decision to leave the UFC. Others pushed back, reminding that Jon Jones previously criticized Francis Ngannou for leaving his contract situation, calling the situation hypocritical. One fan argued that the UFC should keep Jon Jones under contract until he fulfills every fight, while others said his approach has been disrespectful to the organization that supported his career. Criticism also targeted his boxing ability, with some claiming his stand-up skills are not elite and that he would struggle against top-level boxers. However, supporters noted his unpredictability, long reach, and ability to mix strikes with elbows and grappling as key advantages. The debate also revisited his long career timeline. Fans referenced his close fight with Dominic Reyes, his decision not to pursue an immediate rematch, extended periods of inactivity, and the canceled matchup with Francis Ngannou. They also highlighted his move up in weight, his championship win, and later criticisms for avoiding Tom Aspinall while pursuing other opponents. Some even pointed to his retirement announcement after defending his title, suggesting inconsistency in his long-term plans. Further comments accused Jon Jones of avoiding certain high-risk fights while prioritizing negotiations and contract discussions. Others defended him, saying he has already accomplished more than most fighters and is strategically managing his career. The discussion continues to intensify as fans debate whether he is trying to exit the UFC or renegotiate his position for a final run, while Dana White and the UFC remain silent on the latest developments. Overall reaction online shows deep division among fans, with some demanding stricter contract enforcement, while others believe fighters should have more freedom to pursue legacy fights and cross-sport opportunities, especially in boxing and entertainment events beyond the octagon. As tensions rise, speculation continues across social platforms about possible future negotiations and outcomes emerging. Move on to another news. Concerns for Sean Strickland's health have emerged following new training footage that surfaced online. Ordinarily, seeing Strickland back in the gym just days after a fight would not raise any alarms, as he is known for living inside the training room. However, this time, the situation has sparked more attention than usual. Recently, a video showed Strickland rolling in grappling exchanges with elite coach and grappler Craig Jones, where he managed to hold his own during several exchanges on the ground. While the footage may look normal at first glance, concern grew due to reports that Strickland is currently dealing with significant shoulder injuries sustained before his win over Khamzat at UFC 328. In the clip, he continues grappling despite those issues, which raised questions about whether he should be resting instead of training at full intensity. Many believe this could create problems with the UFC brass, especially given the seriousness of his medical condition. As previously reported, after UFC 328, Strickland revealed that doctors diagnosed him with a Type 2 AC separation, an extended Type 5 slap tear, and partial rotator cuff tearing, along with tendinosis in his shoulder. Medical expectations suggest that surgery will likely be required to properly repair the damage. Despite that, the latest footage has led some to wonder if Sean is recovering better than expected, or potentially risking further injury by returning too soon. In the background of the same event cycle, attention also shifted toward Khamzat after his recent return to the United Arab Emirates, where he resides. A new clip posted by Kersey Coast MMA showed Khamzat attending a promotional event for the Heroes Destination Abu Dhabi grappling competition. He appeared relaxed while engaging with fans and promoting the upcoming grappling showcase. Khamzat is now preparing for a high-profile grappling appearance against Dylan Danis at RF10, scheduled for June 13th in St. Louis. The matchup has already drawn major attention online due to the personalities involved and the ongoing rivalry narratives surrounding both athletes. His participation in grappling competition highlights a continued shift between MMA preparation and specialized grappling showcases. As both storylines develop, Strickland's injury situation and Khamzat's grappling commitments continue to dominate discussion in combat sports circles, with fans closely watching how each athlete manages their next steps moving forward. Move on to another news. Jon Jones wants to leave the UFC for a boxing match, after fresh comments suggesting he is actively exploring ways out of his current deal. Following statements he made on Saturday about potentially exiting his UFC contract, Jon Jones has now doubled down on that message and revealed a clear interest in stepping into a boxing ring instead. So what is actually going on? During a recent broadcast appearance, Jon Jones was in the booth when Francis Ngannou called him out, stating that a fight between them cannot happen because Jones is stuck in the cage and unable to escape his current contract situation. Later, during the post-fight press conference, Francis added more detail, claiming that Jones signed his UFC deal in 2023 and may still have around 2 years remaining, depending on contract terms and clauses. For context, UFC contracts typically include a sunset clause that can extend up to 5 years, which complicates early exits for fighters still under agreement. However, just 24 hours later, Jones's publicist released an interview that escalated the situation further. In the interview, Jon Jones suggested that MVP may offer a better overall production and presentation than the UFC, sparking major discussion across the MMA world. He also implied that leaving the UFC contract is not impossible, but would require the right negotiations and the right people handling the process. This marked a noticeable shift in tone as he openly discussed alternatives beyond the UFC. Here's what he said. He questioned whether he would fight again at all, stating that he is unsure, but believes getting out of his UFC contract is very possible. He explained that it would require finding the right channels and putting full effort into the process. When pressed further, Jones acknowledged that fans still want to see him compete and suggested that he is not necessarily done with fighting. However, he made it clear that boxing is something he has seriously considered. He stated that if he focused entirely on his hands, combinations, and punching power, he believes he could surprise many people. He went on to say that he would not mind boxing at all and described it as something he would genuinely enjoy pursuing. Those comments immediately sparked reactions across the combat sports world, especially given the ongoing uncertainty surrounding his UFC future and potential contract situation. As discussions continue, Jon Jones' future remains unclear, but his interest in boxing and possible UFC exit has now become one of the most talked about stories in combat sports. Move on to another news. New UFC fights have been officially announced as multiple matchup updates continue to shape upcoming cards across several divisions. Marcel Dorf recently forwarded a report from Dino Fell on X, revealing that during the UFC's Brazilian broadcast on Saturday, it was confirmed that Muslim Salikhov has withdrawn from his May 30 welterweight fight against Jake Matthews. Stepping in on short notice is Carlson Harris, who will now face Matthews on the Macau card. Matthews is looking to bounce back after having his 3-fight winning streak snapped by veteran Neil Magny in September, where Magny secured a Darce choke submission in round 3. Harris, meanwhile, has not competed since January 2025, when he was stopped by Santiago Ponzinibbio. He has gone 2-3 in his last 5 fights, making this a crucial opportunity to reset his momentum. In another update, Robert Tellez reported that flyweights Alden Cora and Stuart Nickel are set to fight on the UFC July 18th card in Oklahoma City. Cora earned a unanimous decision win over Luis Guerrero in February, marking his second UFC victory, and he is currently riding a 6-fight undefeated streak. Nickel, however, is under pressure as he enters this bout on a 3-fight losing skid. In his most recent appearance last month, he was stopped by Alejandro Costa, adding urgency to his upcoming performance. Dorf also reported that middleweights Duško Todorovic and Robert Valentin will clash at the UFC August 1st card in Belgrade, Serbia. Todorovic secured a key win in September by submitting Jose Medina with a rear naked choke, snapping a 3-fight losing streak. Valentin is in a similar position, coming off a submission win over Julian LeBlanc last month after previously dropping 3 straight fights. Leo Walker Gabe further reported that the UFC is planning a women's matchup between Juliana Miller and Rava Oliveira for the August 8th Apex card in Las Vegas. Oliveira is in a must-win situation, having lost 3 straight since joining the UFC in 2023, most recently being stopped by Chanel Dyer in March. Miller also enters under pressure, having lost her last fight in February by unanimous decision to Carly Judas. That defeat marked her 3rd loss in 4 fights, making this a critical bout for both athletes. Additionally, reports confirm that newly signed Serbian fighter Blasto has joined the UFC roster, while Chepo is now scheduled to make his Octagon debut against Gilbert Urbina at the Belgrade event on August 1st. Chepo enters the UFC on a strong run of back-to-back stoppage wins in Octagon MMA, after previously being finished by Podor VPN in 2023. Urbina, meanwhile, is coming off a loss to Uros Medic and has struggled in UFC competition, holding a 1-3 record after finishing runner-up on the Ultimate Fighter Season 29. Next, we move on to Sean Strickland. Move on to another news. Ilia Topuria's future depends on Conor McGregor's performance against Max Holloway, as discussions around the lightweight division continue to shift based on upcoming results and potential title implications. The situation has created uncertainty in the title picture, with analysts suggesting that Ilya's path at lightweight could change dramatically, depending on how Conor performs against Max Holloway at UFC 329. One key point raised is that if Conor manages to win, it could reshape matchmaking plans across the entire division, including top contenders and title contenders waiting in line. During further discussion, the conversation also turned to the Paddy versus BSD matchup, with implications extending beyond just that fight. Analysts noted that the winner of BSD versus Paddy Pimblett could find themselves in a position to fight for a vacant title, depending on how the division unfolds. It was also suggested that if Ilia Topuria moves away from lightweight, the UFC may be forced to restructure the title picture entirely. In that scenario, Arman Tsarukyan was mentioned as a likely contender who should be next in line for a major opportunity, potentially even a title fight, depending on how other key fights play out. However, there is still uncertainty surrounding matchmaking decisions, with some believing the UFC may not immediately enforce that direction. Others feel that Arman versus another top contender for a vacant belt could become the most realistic outcome if the division continues to remain in flux. There was also discussion around Charles Oliveira, with the idea raised that he continues to win significant fights and remains a constant factor in any lightweight title conversation. His name keeps coming up whenever the division resets or shifts due to inactivity, retirements, or crossover fights. Overall, the lightweight division remains unpredictable, with multiple moving parts, including Conor McGregor's return, Ilia Topuria's potential move, Arman's title positioning, and the ongoing rise of contenders like Paddy Pimblett and BSD, all contributing to a constantly changing landscape at the top of the division.